They laughed at me. My daughter-in-law said, "That old lady is only good for paying our bills." My son laughed too. I stayed quiet, but the next day they learned what happens when the woman they mock stops paying for their life. Wow! Can you imagine being laughed at in your own house by the people you raised? What would you do if this happened to you? Share your thoughts below if you've ever stayed quiet, just to keep the peace. This story is for you. I stayed silent for years, not because I was weak, but because I loved too deeply. I thought patience meant respect. I was wrong, because the day they laughed at me, I learned something the hard way. Today, I'm finally telling my story. My name is Margaret Holloway. I'm 70 now, and I remember things people wish I didn't. My husband, Thomas, died 11 years ago in Indiana, right on our living room floor. One minute he was joking about dinner, the next he was gasping like the air betrayed him. Heart attack. That's the word doctors use when life ends too fast. I became a widow at 49. My son Ryan was 14. That night he looked at me and asked, "Mom, what are we gonna do?" I wiped my tears and lied. "We'll be fine." I went back to work 3 days later. 2 jobs. No complaints. No time to fall apart. Because when you're a mother, grief waits its turn. I thought surviving that made me strong enough for anything. I was wrong. Ryan was smart. Good grades. Big dreams. I stretched every dollar. Skipped meals. Wore the same coat for 10 winters. When college bills hit, I sold my wedding ring. Didn't tell him. Didn't need applause. After graduation, Ryan hugged me and said, "I owe you everything, Mom." I believed him. Then he started his business and said, "It's easier if the bills are under your name. Just for now." I hesitated. Then I signed. Credit cards. Utilities. Insurance. All mine. I thought I was helping my son stand up. I didn't realize I was teaching him how to step on me. And then he brought his wife into my house. And that's when the respect finally died. Ryan married Lindsay in June. Bright sun. White dress. Big smiles for the cameras. She hugged me at the reception, perfume strong enough to make my eyes water, and said, "Margaret, you did such a good job raising him." I remember thinking, well, that's nice to hear. I didn't know that would be the last kind thing she'd ever say to me. They moved into my house 2 weeks later. Ryan stood in the doorway, hands in his pockets, and said, "Just for a bit, Mom. We'll save, get our own place." Lindsay smiled and added, "Yeah, we won't be here forever." Forever. Funny word. I used to believe in it. At first, I tried to stay out of their way. I cooked less, kept my TV volume low, moved my shoes so they wouldn't trip over them. I started eating dinner earlier so they could have their space. My own house slowly stopped feeling like mine. Then came the comments. Not loud, not cruel enough to call out, just sharp enough to sting. "Wow, Margaret," Lindsay said one morning, staring at the electric bill. "You still use the dryer that much? In this economy?" Another time she laughed and said, "You don't really need heat on at night, right? You're always cold anyway." Ryan never defended me. He'd just shrug and say, "Mom, she's just saying." Saying what? That I was a burden? That night, the night everything broke, I was folding laundry in the living room. My hands were shaking. Arthritis. A towel slipped from my grip and landed on the floor. I bent to pick it up slower than I used to be. That's when I heard Lindsay's voice from the kitchen. She didn't whisper. She didn't have to. "I swear," she said, laughing, "your mom acts like she owns this place." Ryan chuckled. That soft, careless sound ripped something open in me. Lindsay continued, her voice sharp and careless. "Honestly, that old lady is good for nothing but paying our bills." She laughed. Hard. And then, Ryan laughed too. Not nervous. Not uncomfortable. Comfortable. Like it made sense. Like he'd been thinking it too. I froze. I didn't cry. I didn't breathe. I just sat there with warm laundry in my lap, staring at the wall like it might give me answers. I thought about the nights I stayed awake counting dollars, the ring I sold, the papers I signed without reading. And this was who I had raised. A few minutes later, Ryan walked past me, didn't even look my way. He grabbed a soda, popped it open, and went back to the kitchen. No apology. No "Hey, Mom." Nothing. I had never felt so small in my own life. That night, I lay in bed listening to them laugh, really laugh, in the room down the hall. My house. My money. My name on every account. And I realized something that hurt worse than losing my husband. I wasn't family anymore. I was useful. And when usefulness is all you are, you're already being replaced. The next morning, I woke up before the sun, made coffee, sat alone at the kitchen table, and for the first time in 70 years, I realized something that made my hands go cold. Every single thing holding their life together had my name on it. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't warn them. I didn't say a single word. I let them finish their coffee. I let them leave the house smiling. And then I made one quiet call. By lunchtime, my son would be shaking in public, wondering how his whole life collapsed, without me lifting a finger. I didn't rush. That's the part people don't understand. I didn't storm into the bank screaming. I didn't shake. I didn't cry. I moved slow, careful, like someone who finally knew exactly where to cut. After Ryan and Lindsay left that morning, I washed my cup, dried it, set it back in the cabinet. Then I picked up my phone. The bank lady recognized my voice. "Good morning, Mrs. Holloway. How can I help you today?" I said, calm as church on Sunday. "I'd like to temporarily suspend all cards and shared accounts under my name." She paused. "All of them?" "Yes, ma'am." "And the credit cards as well?" "Yes." She asked me a few security questions. Mother's maiden name. First car. The usual. Funny how the system suddenly respects you when the money's yours. When she finished, she said, "All right, Mrs. Holloway. Everything's been blocked. Is there anything else?" I looked around the kitchen. My kitchen. "Yes," I said. "Please remove all authorized users." Click. Done. I sat there for a minute longer than I needed to. Then I went about my day. Folded laundry. Watered the plants. Watched the news. No guilt. Around noon my phone rang. Ryan. I let it ring. Again. Then again. On the fourth call I answered. "Mom," he shouted, breathless. "Why are all the cards blocked?" I could hear noise behind him, voices, clinking dishes. "A restaurant. Blocked." I asked like I was confused. "Oh dear. Mom, this is serious," he hissed. "We're at lunch." The card declined. Twice. "The waitress is standing right here." I heard Lindsay in the background, sharp and panicked. "What do you mean declined?" "That's impossible." Ryan lowered his voice. "People are staring." Someone laughed. I sipped my tea. "Did they?" I said. "Mom, please. Just fix it. This is embarrassing." Embarrassing. I thought about folding laundry in silence. About laughter from the kitchen. About being useful. "Ryan," I said slowly, "who pays for your phone? Your car? Your lights?" He didn't answer. "Who signed for those cards?" I asked. Still silence. Then Lindsay grabbed the phone. "What is this?" She snapped. "You can't just cut us off like this." I smiled. "Watch me." There was a pause. Then Ryan's voice again, smaller now. "Mom, we need that money." I leaned back in my chair. "You said I was only good for paying your bills," I said. "So today, I decided to be good for nothing." Dead silence. Then Lindsay started crying. Loud. Messy. The waiter cleared his throat in the background. I heard chairs scraping. Awkwardness thick in the air. "I raised you to stand on your own," I said. "Not to stand on my back." "Mom," Ryan whispered. "Please." I closed my eyes. "I'll talk to you tonight," I said. After you figure out how to pay for lunch. Then I hung up. My hands didn't shake. For the first time in years. They were steady. That call didn't end the story. It started a war inside my own house and I wasn't done yet. They came home quiet. That's how I knew the lunch had been paid for. With borrowed money, forced smiles, and wounded pride. I was in the living room when the front door opened. Didn't look up right away. Let the silence stretch. Ryan cleared his throat. Mom, we need to talk. I folded the newspaper once. Neat. Careful. I'm listening. Lindsay dropped her purse on the table, like it was someone else's fault gravity existed. This was unnecessary, she snapped. You embarrassed us. In public. I finally looked at her. Funny, I said. That's exactly how I felt last night. Ryan stepped in between us like a scared kid again. Mom, come on. You know Lindsay didn't mean it like that. I tilted my head. Mean it like what? Silence. I stood up slowly. My knees complained, but I ignored them. I heard every word, I said. Every laugh. Every joke about me paying your bills. Lindsay crossed her arms. Well, maybe if you didn't act like you own everything. I do, I cut in. My name's on it. That stopped her. I turned to Ryan. Electricity. Water. Internet. Cars. Cards. I counted on my fingers. Whose name, Ryan? His eyes dropped. Yours. So don't stand there and tell me I embarrassed you. Lindsay scoffed. You can't just pull the rug out from under us. I looked at her, calm as a winter lake. You shouldn't stand on rugs you didn't buy. Ryan ran a hand through his hair. Mom, okay. We messed up. But blocking everything? That was extreme. Extreme. I laughed, short and bitter. Extreme is raising a child alone and being laughed at in your own house. Ryan swallowed. I never meant for it to get like that. But it did, I said. And you let it. Lindsay rolled her eyes. So what, now we're supposed to apologize? I walked to the hallway and opened a folder I'd prepared that morning. Bank statements. Account papers. Authorization forms. I placed them on the table. You have 2 weeks, I said. To move out or start paying your own way. Ryan's head snapped up. What? This house isn't a free ride anymore, I said. And I'm done being your safety net. Lindsay laughed, sharp and ugly. You think you can survive without us? That one almost made me smile. I survived without a husband, I said. I survived raising a child alone. I'll survive without 2 grown adults who forgot how to say thank you. Ryan's voice cracked. Mom, please. I looked at him, really looked. Not the boy I raised. The man he'd become. I love you, I said. But love doesn't mean letting you break me. That night they didn't eat my food. They didn't sit in my living room. They stayed in their room, whispering, arguing, planning. And I slept better than I had in years. I thought drawing boundaries would bring peace. I didn't realize it would push Lindsay to make a move that changed everything. The house felt different after that. Not loud. Not tense in an obvious way. Quiet in the kind of way that tells you someone is planning something. Lindsay stopped speaking to me completely. No good morning. No fake smiles. She walked past me like I was a lamp that didn't work anymore. Ryan, on the other hand, tried. Too hard. Mom, you okay? Need anything? You want me to grab groceries? Too polite. Too sudden. That's when I knew Lindsay was working on him. One evening I was in the kitchen making soup when Ryan came in and leaned against the counter. He didn't look at me. Lindsay's been having a rough time, he said. I stirred slowly. Didn't answer. She feels attacked, he continued. She says you're punishing her. I turned off the stove. Is that what you think? I asked. He hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. She says, he went on, that you're holding money over our heads. That it's controlling. I faced him. Ryan, I said calmly, who controlled you when I paid for everything? He swallowed. She says families don't do this to each other. I laughed softly. Families don't mock their elders either. That night, Lindsay made her move. I heard her crying, loud enough to carry through the walls. I gave up everything for you, she sobbed. My friends. My job. My dignity. Ryan's voice was low, strained. She didn't mean it like that. She humiliated me. Lindsay cried. In public. She wants us homeless. Homeless. In my house. I sat on my bed, hands folded, listening. Ryan knocked on my door later. Mom. Lindsay thinks we should talk as a family. I opened the door. She stood behind him, eyes red, arms crossed. This can't continue, Lindsay said. You're tearing us apart. I looked at Ryan. Do you believe that? He didn't answer. That was the answer. I need time, I said. So do you. Lindsay scoffed. Time for what? To plan our punishment. I stepped back. Time for my son to decide, I said, who he's willing to lose. They walked away together. But something had shifted. Ryan wasn't a boy anymore. And this time, I wasn't going to save him from his choices. By the end of the week, Lindsay would force Ryan to choose. And I already knew which way he was leaning. It happened 3 days later. I knew it would. Lindsay doesn't wait when she thinks she's losing. Ryan came home alone that evening. No Lindsay. No noise. Just him standing in the doorway like he used to when he was a kid and knew he was in trouble. Mom, he said quietly. We need to talk. I turned off the TV and faced him. He sat down across from me, hands clasped tight. She gave me an ultimatum, he said. I nodded. I figured. He swallowed hard. She said if I don't stand up to you, really stand up, you're going to ruin our marriage. I didn't react. Didn't interrupt. Just let him finish. She says you're controlling. That you enjoy holding power over us. That if I don't cut you off financially and emotionally, she's done. I looked at my son, the man I raised, the boy I sacrificed for. And what do you think? I asked. He stared at the floor. I think I should have stopped this a long time ago. My breath caught, but I didn't show it. I laughed, he said, voice cracking. That night in the kitchen. I laughed when she said those things about you. He finally looked up at me. I don't know when I stopped seeing you as my mother and started seeing you as a backup plan. That one hurt, but it was honest. She packed her things today, he continued. She said she won't stay in a house where she doesn't come first. I nodded slowly. She made her choice, I said. Ryan wiped his face with his sleeve. I told her I wasn't choosing sides, he said. But she said not choosing is choosing. Silence filled the room. So, I asked gently, what are you choosing? He stood up. I'm choosing to stand on my own, he said. No more shared accounts. No more using your name. No more hiding behind you. I studied him for a long moment. Then I said something I never thought I would. Good. He blinked. Good. Yes, I said. Because that's what I raised you to do. I just didn't know it would take losing everything for you to learn it. Ryan nodded. I'll move out, he said. I'll figure it out. I stood too slow steady. You're welcome to visit, I said. You're my son. That doesn't change. But I'm not your safety net anymore. He nodded again. That night the house was quiet. Not tense. Peaceful. A few weeks later, Ryan moved into a small apartment. Started paying his own bills. Struggled. Learned. Grew. Lindsay never came back. As for me, I walk through my house now like it belongs to me. Because it does. I drink my coffee slow. I sleep without guilt. And I no longer confuse love with sacrifice. Some people think getting old makes you weak. They're wrong. Sometimes, it just teaches you when to stop being used. If someone only loves you for what you provide, the moment you stop providing, you'll finally see the truth. Love should never cost you your dignity. When people only value you for what you provide, they stop seeing you as a person and start seeing you as a resource. Staying quiet to keep the peace may feel kind, but silence can teach others that disrespect has no consequences. Real strength isn't revenge. It's boundaries. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop giving, so others finally learn your worth. If this story felt close to home, it's because it happens more often than people admit. Sometimes strength isn't loud. Sometimes it's simply knowing when to stop giving. If this story meant something to you, leave a like. It helps these stories reach the right people. And if you believe in stories about quiet strength, self-respect, and second chances, subscribe to the channel. Take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next story.